Good day everyone. In this video presentation, I'm going to show you how to add data validation into your MS Excel worksheet. Data validation is one among the advanced operations in Microsoft Excel. This is usually used to minimize erroneous data entry into your worksheet and display guide or instructions as to what particular data will you going to enter in a particular cell or column. What is the step-by-step process in adding data validation? First, we have to highlight particular cells or column where we want to add data validation. For example, we have to highlight the column name. After highlighting cells or column, click Data tab, then on the Data Tools group, click Data Validation and select Data Validation. Then we will see a dialog box will pop up where we have to set the data validation we want in a particular cell or column. In this dialog box, we have three different parts: the settings, the input message, and the error alert. Under settings, we have validation criteria where we will select the type of data we want to allow in a particular cells or column. Here we have 8 different types of data validation. We have any value, whole number, decimal, list, date, time, text length, and custom. But in this video presentation, we will limit the discussion to whole number, list, and text length, which are needed in your next activity. Once we select a type of data validation criteria, automatically other settings options will appear associated with the type of data we have selected. So we can have the necessary adjustment or settings on the desired validations or restrictions. Then we have input message. Here we can enter the column title or the information we want in that particular cell or column, and our short instructions to appear once a particular cell is clicked, so that we will be reminded or guided to what information or data is needed in that particular cell. For example, in the title we have name, and our input message is enter your name in this particular form or order. Surname, given name, middle initial. And last is the error alert message, where we can set alert message if in case we encoded an erroneous entry in a particular cell. This error alert will pop up showing that the data we entered is incorrect or is not within the data values set in that particular cell. Here we can also select as to what should Excel will do or style once an erroneous data is entered in a particular cell. Either it has to stop, give warning, or give information. In this box here, we can also add title. Then in this box here, we have to place our error alert message like the data you entered is incorrect or not valid. Then once all is set, just click OK. By default, or without applying data validation, we can enter any character or data in a particular cell. It can be a letter, a number, symbols, operations, or a combination of those. If we have applied data validation, our MS Excel will validate the data we have entered in a particular cell. MS Excel will not anymore accept data which is not within the defined data validation set. So there are already restrictions. Now let us try to click a cell under name. We can see that as we click a cell, automatically a message will pop up showing the information needed as what we have set in the data validation. So we have here name, and then the instruction that we have entered as we set the data validation. We have here enter your name in this particular form or order: surname, given name, middle initial. For example, we have De La Cruz Chan Yu. In your previous activity, you have encoded your name and the names of your classmates. At this point, we will add data validation for age, sex, and address. This is what you will do in your next activity. To add data validation for age, simply highlight the column age. Click Data tab, click Data Validation under Data Tools group, and select Data Validation. In the settings, select whole number. In this case, if for example, you know that the student age ranges only from 12 to 20, we have to set the minimum value to 12 and the maximum value to 20, so that if for example you mistakenly encoded a number less than 12 or greater than 20, our Excel will not accept the data we've entered and an error alert will pop up. Next, click the input message. Here we can add the title for a particular column, and we can also add input message or instructions as to what particular dataset is needed or required in that particular cell, like age in the title, then enter or type your age in the input message. Then next, click error alert. Select stop. Then we can also add title. We have age and our error alert message like that is incorrect. Then click OK. Now let us try to click a cell under age, then try to input data. For example, we have 15, 17, or 14. If for example we mistakenly input a number less than 12, like 10, our Excel will not accept it, and an error message will pop up to tell us that the data we have entered is incorrect. Why do we need to add a title in the input message or error alert? If in case we have numerous data, for example, hundreds or more, and we are at the bottom of our worksheet where we could not see anymore the caption at the top, by clicking the cell, the input message will pop up containing the title of the column and the input message or instructions, so that we will always be guided and avoid erroneous entry. Next, we will add data validation to the column sex. Here we will use text length. Text length is used to limit the number of letters or text in a particular cell. For example, if we want to use single letter only to indicate male or female, like letter F for female and letter M for male, we will use text length. To apply this, highlight the cell or column where we want to add the data validation. In this case, we have to highlight the column sex. Then click Data tab, click Data Validation under Data Tools group, and select Data Validation. Under Settings, select Text Length. Then on Data, we have different options like between, not between, equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal, and less than or equal. But in this case, we will select equal to. Then on the length box, we will enter 1 because we want to indicate single letter only, which is M for male and F for female. We can also use other options like between if we want to have between 3 to 5 letters, or other options like greater than or less than, etc. As you needed. For input message, we can have sex as our title, and we can add guide or instructions inside the input message box, like type M for male and F for female. Under error alert, if we don't want to add error alert message, we can leave it blank. Then click OK. Now, if in case we mistakenly press letter F twice, because we did not add error alert message, the default error alert message will pop up. The default error alert message says, the value you entered is not valid. A user has restricted values that can be entered into this cell. Okay, now let us try to enter data for sex. So for example, De La Cruz Chani is M. And we can have also F for female students. Next, we will add data validation for address. This time, we will use list or drop-down list. Before we do this, we need to include first the list of addresses in a separate column. Not under our column address, because this is where we have to add our data validation for address. So we have to include it in a separate column. So for example, we have to include it here. And for example, we have these different addresses like Allen, Northern Samar, Bubon, Northern Samar, Katarman, Northern Samar, Katubig, Northern Samar, Lauang, Northern Samar, Mondragon, Northern Samar, and Victoria, Northern Samar, and so on and so forth. After encoding, we will now add data validation for address. So let's highlight the cell for address where we want to add data validation. Then click Data tab, click Data Validation under Data Tools group, and select Data Validation. Under Settings, select List. Then click the source box, or bar and highlight the cells where you encoded the addresses. You can also add input messages like select address from the list by clicking the arrow button in the right side of the cell. Then click OK. After adding the data validation for address, you can now hide the list of addresses so that it will not appear in your screen as it is not needed to appear. Now let us try to click a cell and select particular address among the list. For example, De La Cruz Johnny Ju is from Bubon, Northern Samar. And you can select also different addresses like Katarman, Lawang, and etc. Alright, I hope you learned something, and that's all for this video presentation.